So the last time we met, we analyzed the success of the recently released Shah Rukh Khan starrer Pathaan and everything leading up to it in the Spy Universe. This video, on the other hand, is aimed at projecting how this universe will or should pan out in the future, with huge announcements coming out left, right and center regarding the next few films. Bollywood as an industry has been struggling quite badly for a while now. I think we all can agree on that. And this franchise looks to be the only ray of hope. So I thought it would be fun exploring it a bit more, trying to consolidate everything that has happened so far, what we already know about the next few films, and what we hope to see in them. So quickly, where exactly are we at with our principal characters as we speak? Well, Tiger has built a family for himself, but has left the door wide open to be called upon for help whenever there's need. Kabir, on the other hand, for all intents and purposes, has retired from Raw on paper, and in fact even decided to stay notoriously rogue. I don't think anyone other than Colonel Luthra knows of his real intentions and motivations. And lastly, Pathaan was promoted to a leadership role in his self-created unit Joker, replacing his now deceased mentor Nandini Grewal. And all of this leads us to Tiger 3, a movie very interestingly being directed by Manish Sharma. I mean, if you look at it from a bird's eye view, all the Tiger films have been made by different directors, but I don't know, with Kabir Khan and Ali Abbas Zafar, you do expect this type of cinema. But if you're talking about Manish Sharma particularly, you'd expect a small budget, back to the roots, feel-good type of love story, if I'm being honest. Or Fan. He made Fan. And yes, that movie had action, but it honestly didn't have any right to go that route. It felt displaced, almost like Manish Sharma wanted to make a small film with a high concept, but they had to cram in tons of action to justify its big budget. Which is probably why Tiger 3 could very well be a turning point for Sharma in the best or the worst ways possible. I'll for once stay cautiously optimistic because Manish Sharma is a smart man. He knows what the audience is going to the theaters to see with Tiger 3. Plus, he's getting a ready-made franchise and established characters to play around with. I think he'll do just fine on that front. Salman Khan, on the other hand, we all probably know at this point, doesn't even try to give his best in some of his projects. Fortunately though, that one appears to be this abomination this year. I don't think even Salman can screw with Tiger 3 if he tried. Him sleepwalking his way through Kisi Ka Bhai Kisi Ki Jaan and then showing up in a big way for Tiger 3 seems to be the most realistic prediction. Other than that, of course, we have Katrina Kaif reappearing as Zoya in the film, and Emraan Hashmi as the villain? He's probably the villain, and I won't lie, I am excited to see that. But let's talk about the narrative in Tiger 3. Structurally, we all can expect it to be very similar to Pathaan. There will be crazy action sequences and tons of goosebump-inducing elevation moments scattered throughout the film. One thing that I genuinely hope Tiger 3 does during its runtime though, is to finally create an overarching narrative for the franchise. We already have 4 films of this universe in our rear view, and yet there's nothing in terms of storyline to look forward to. And I understand 3 of those films weren't even meant to be there in the first place, while the 4th one had tons of loose ends to tie up. So I'm not holding this against the makers. It's just that sooner or later YRF would have to create a single point narrative that spans over multiple films. And Tiger 3 appears to be the best opportunity to start doing that. Unlike in the case for Pathaan, director Manish Sharma won't have to spend time establishing characters or motivations. That's already done. The novelty of seeing SRK, Hrithik and Salman share the screen for some good old-fashioned ass-whooping, for all it's worth today, is not sustainable. This will veer off as the franchise progresses, but the one thing that will keep bringing audiences back to the theaters, even after that novelty wears off, is going to be the story. Let Emraan Hashmi's character stay alive by the end of the film. Maybe he does die off, but it becomes clear by the end of the movie that he was working for a final boss all this time. Someone who intends to bring the country to its knees in the future or something. You know, hinting to higher stakes. Gosh, I hope that individual is Aamir Khan. But let's be real, it's not him. It could be Junior NTR though. It was first reported just a few weeks ago that Junior NTR of all people has been locked in to face off against Hrithik Roshan's Kabir in the recently announced War 2. First of all, that's great because of many reasons, but then it was also announced that Ayan Mukherjee would be at the helm of the project. Now there's a good and there's a bad. The good is that YRF is actually employing multiple creatives to take this franchise forward. That means more films, unlike say Rohit Shetty's Cop Universe, which is only led by Rohit Shetty himself at the helm of each project. But more importantly, it also means more unique voices to tell these different stories. Guys, no matter how much we praise Pathaan, we can't simply unsee the similarities between that movie and War. So I'm happy Siddharth Anand is not directing all these films here. But then there's the bad. Ayan Mukherjee, very similar to Manish Sharma, hasn't really done enough to warrant an all-out action flick with characters who have seen it all. His protagonists usually go on this boyish journey of self-discovery, and this man has no interest in that. But all's not lost here, guys. Ayan did direct Brahmastra last year, and barring the screenplay and dialogues, it did work as a spectacle. I hope he understands the assignment here, because War 2, for my money, has to take a dark turn in the franchise. If Pathaan established the franchise, and Tiger 3 does go on to establish the overarching narrative for this series, then War 2 has to be the first real setback for our protagonists. It has to be the first film where our heroes take an L. And I mean a real L, like killing off Kabir levels of L. And yes, that's not gonna happen. Hrithik is not going anywhere so soon. But then what if it's Rubai? Now hear me out. It's not my original idea, so I'm not going to take credit for it, but it does make sense. Whether it's Junior NTR, Emraan Hashmi, a resurrected Jim, or even Aamir Khan, please let it be Aamir Khan. Whoever the final boss of this quote-unquote war is, what if he makes Tiger kill Rubai by the end of War 2? We still don't know her full story or motivations. Maybe she was against Pathaan all this time, and Tiger just had to do the right thing. The point is that YRF has already started working on the next film after War 2, and it's literally titled Tiger vs Pathaan. First of all, please change that title. And secondly, Ayan Mukherjee's War 2 would have to lay the groundwork for that. Pathaan as a character we all know is a softie. If he could go against his own side to save a girl he just recently met and was even betrayed by earlier, who's to say what he'll do once he realizes that she was killed by none other than his own colleague Tiger? This movie could finally explore the origins of Rubai in a bunch of flashback sequences that was unfortunately compromised in Pathaan this year. There's potential for a great story there, and Deepika is a far better performer to be sidelined like she was in Pathaan. Sure, her death would discontinue her involvement in the franchise moving forward, but at least she'll get a payoff worth going out with. Guys, it's either that or Tiger has to turn to the dark side. Pathaan is too nice to do that. And we all know that's also not happening. So the next best alternative would be to keep Tiger's motivations for killing Rubai a mystery point at the end of War 2 and centralize that as the main conflict in Tiger vs Pathaan. Let Pathaan hunt down Tiger for the entirety of this movie, only for him to realize by the end how this had to be done and the greater evil has all but closed in. Think about it, you guys. What if, just what if, this movie, Tiger vs Pathaan, ends with a shot of the three Khans coming face to face to face? God, please let the main villain be Aamir. I'm gonna keep saying that in hopes that it gets manifested in real life. And besides, if reports are to be believed, Aamir is already in talks with YRF to revive their Dhoom franchise with him in the lead again. If this is in fact true, I think it's the failure of Aamir's recent films and the super success of this spy universe that has led him to clinch onto an action verse of his own. Now I'm not gonna sit back and claim that that idea is stupid, cause it's not. It's actually good that Aamir is at least thinking in this direction rather than going forward with his Champions remake, which was objectively a bad idea. But there's an even better way for YRF and Aamir to work together, and that, my friends, is his entry in the spy universe. For all intents and purposes, this will be the only opportunity for us to ever see the three biggest stars of this century share space on the big screen. Why not try to achieve it? And if it so happens that Aamir Khan and YRF find a way to bring him into this franchise, then it needs to be as the antagonist. So far, YRF has consciously or coincidentally done a tremendous job with its antagonists. But that will only get harder with each passing film because the hero's side looks too damn OP to be challenged right now. There needs to be a challenge worth their caliber, and Aamir just so happens to fit the bill perfectly. Which brings us to the end of this video. But hold on, he didn't even talk much about Hrithik. Well, that's because firstly, there's only War 2 announced starring Hrithik so far, so we don't have a lot to go with. And secondly, because I so wish the next time we see Kabir after these next few films, he gets to rehash it with Jim. There's unfinished business there. Whether Jim is alive or dead is up for debate, but we can't simply argue against John Abraham's magnificent job in Pathaan. Jim is probably the best villain this universe has seen so far. So whether or not the original idea was to carry him forward does not matter anymore. The makers would be far wiser if they did bring him back, looking at the response he got upon Pathaan's release. A confrontation with the ghost of his past is the best next step for Kabir. That encounter, unlike any other film so far, could be a more psychological one where Jim tries to recruit Kabir to his side. Jim did try to do that with Pathaan as well, but there was no backstory there to build from. Him trying exactly that with Kabir might actually turn out far more fruitful, not only because there's a shared history between the two, but also because unlike Pathaan, who blindly follows the system, Kabir does have a mean streak. I mean, the last time we saw him, he literally went rogue to counter molds within Raw itself. Sure, it was all for a heroic cause, but he never shied away from expressing his grievances with the system. Doesn't that remind you of a certain someone? And if I'm being dead honest, guys, Hrithik might not even get enough chances to stand out as a bona fide lead in a franchise that'll most likely be dominated by Shah Rukh and Salman going forward. I mean, just look at the upcoming slate of films. There's a very good chance he might get sidelined until he joins forces with his former brother and turns to the dark side. It's an idea. What do you think? And that brings us to the real end of this video, guys. Thanks for sticking through. I know it was longer than usual, but that just goes on to show my excitement for this franchise. How excited are you guys? Let me know in the comment section down below. What theories or ideas do you all have? Let's hear it from you. Please like this video before exiting. It helps get more traction. I don't know when again I'll post something. Hopefully it's soon enough. But until then, have a safe week ahead. My name is Aamir, and I shall see you soon.